Hi everyone, it's Tatiana, your totally obsessed plant mama, and welcome to my channel. So I want to tell you all today about my Colocasia plant. This is a plant I actually foraged, you know me, budget gal, from Florida. It was growing out in the wild, just kind of on the side of the road. These grow like crazy and they get really, really big. So I've been calling it an alocasia, a giant taro, an arrowhead, but I do think it is just some sort of elephant ear or a colocasia. So this elephant ear is not the only plant I have in this pot right now. I also have this little bit of a syngonium arrowhead, which is also foraged from Florida. This was growing by a wall by my mom's house or something, and I took a little cutting and rooted it. They looked cute together and they have done okay together. They seem to have similar care. I have shown you all this plant a couple of times on my videos as well, and you've definitely seen it in different states of health, let's say that. When I showed you this plant in my NYC plant tour, I was showing you that a lot of the times my leaves were snapping in half and bending and falling over every time I pushed out new growth. After that, you saw this plant featured in my Discovering Bugs on My Plants live video where I had left my plants for a couple of weeks and this one just was dead when I came back. It had one leaf still and it was kind of yellow and dying, but there was still a leaf, right? On the arrowhead, there was no leaf. That had completely died. It was just kind of the stem left on this. And on this colocasia here, there was only that crinkled and dead leaf. So people on YouTube were telling me, leave that leaf on. It still has green on it. It'll still photosynthesize and it needs that to be able to continue to grow. So I left it on even though it was dead and ugly and dying, and I just waited. And I corrected the mistakes that I made with the plant. So obviously the first question is, what did I do wrong with this plant where it only had one leaf left and it was always dying? The first thing that was a problem is I realized I was giving this plant too much direct light. When I left the plant, I left it on the window even though I was going to be gone, and that was just too much sunlight for it. This plant prefers indirect light, bright indirect light if anything. It naturally grows on the floor of the rainforest, so obviously those trees above are filtering a lot of light out. And in Florida where I found it, it was growing underneath a lot of trees, so it wasn't getting direct light. So that was my first mistake. I originally only had a couple of leaves on this plant and a pretty good root system when I first got it. It grew like crazy when I potted it up into this plastic pot. I mean, I had tons of leaves, and yes, they would occasionally start to droop off and die, but it was pushing out tons and tons of growth, and I was really happy about that. So I was like, okay, it's too big for this pot, and I repotted it into a terracotta pot after that. That was slightly bigger, if not the same size, so I don't really know what I was thinking, but I moved it out of that plastic pot into a terracotta pot, and it tanked from there. And I think the first problem with that is that obviously plastic retains more moisture and terracotta retains less moisture. It's more porous, it aerates the soil. So obviously, first of all, it's being disrupted by being repotted. Second of all, I wasn't keeping it as moist as I needed to, and it was not getting as much water because I was away from it. Too much light, lack of water, and maybe being in the wrong pot was a big mistake. A lot of you all out there gave me some advice on what to do with this plant. You told me to keep the soil moist, remove it from that direct light, back it up from the window, keep it in that indirect light and still give it light, but definitely don't put it there, and then just wait. And I knew that this plant had really strong roots because I had lost a ton of leaves from it before, and it grew so many back, and I lost them again, and now it has grown them back again. So this has been a reliable plant in the sense that its roots are really strong and it'll keep pushing out new growth. I think it can be super invasive in a lot of areas. I've heard stories where people will throw, you know, the roots in the trash when they remove it, and it sprouts like crazy in their compost bin. But after all of that, even though there was only a dead crinkled leaf on this plant, it started to push out new growth. It was pushing out new leaves and some really funky looking leaves too, where there was a lot of damage there, but it was trying, it was getting them out there, and I left those on so it could do a little bit of photosynthesis, and then eventually it started to push out new beautiful leaves that are just perfect and gorgeous, just stunning. I mean, look at them. As you can see, I've definitely had a journey with this plant over the last couple of months. You saw that I did repot this in a self-watering pot here that is plastic and it is bigger because the roots were really root bound, and I know that it can produce really, really big, lush, beautiful leaves if the roots have space to grow. I don't think they will get crazy big in a container in the home, but I am trying to get really gorgeous big leaves on this plant. The arrowhead I have in here also grew back new leaves from the little stems, so those roots were really strong. And I have a new little leaf coming here. It's tiny, it's coming along. I do have some issues with some mold happening on this plant even when I repotted it, when it stays really moist. So I do have cinnamon on top, which is kind of an at-home trick that you can use. Cinnamon is a natural antifungal, so whenever I get that kind of white mold or fungus on the top of my soil, I sprinkle that on top. So anyone who has a plant like this, or a plant that they think is this but they don't know, be sure to keep it in indirect light. It does not like direct sunlight at all. It will hate it. Keep it moist. It really doesn't like to dry out too much. Put it in a plastic or glazed ceramic pot that will keep it moist. It will like that a lot more than terracotta. And the real lesson is to never, ever, ever give up on your plants. This plant nearly died due to my lack of research and my terrible plant parenting, but I didn't give up on it. I gave it a ton of TLC, Tatiana Love and Care, and this plant has blossomed because of it. I mean, look how it looks now, just 4 leaves, and it was so damaged before, and I also accidentally snapped off 2 of the leaves as well, so it can tolerate me being a horrible person and knocking this plant all the time. It really doesn't like to be moved a lot because these stems can be pretty sensitive and snap. Your sad plants can come back and make you happy again, so just don't give up on them. I promise if you have healthy roots, your plants will persevere. I know it's not easy to do this, but don't judge your plants by what's happening above the surface. Your plants are more than that. A lot of it is what's below the soil and what's happening with the roots, so keep that in mind before you toss any sad or depressing looking plants. They can definitely come back and make you very happy again. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you have any plants that were totally sad and you wanted to give up on them, but you just kept trying and they came back and you could not believe it. I mean, I have another plant like that, my jasmine plant, which I thought was totally a goner, and it came back too. You can watch what I did to revive that plant. I'll add the card and put it in the description below. And I will continue to update you all on plants that I basically kill and revive and bring back to life again. Honestly, I also recorded this video because I'm scared I'll kill it again, so I wanted to document it officially for you all where it's looking good so that we can remember the happy moments of our plant parenting and not just the sad ones. I hope this inspired you to try saving your dead plants' lives. Don't forget to subscribe if you love all things plants, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye! I love you all so much. I'm really sorry that I hurt you, but I'm glad that you love me enough and you're strong enough to keep coming back. Thank you.